Europe's frontline allies are now openly echoing a warning that was delivered inside the European Parliament just last week. Poland and Norway, two countries facing Russia most directly, are signaling deep distrust in the European Union's defense ambitions. Instead of relying on Brussels-led military structures, both are preparing to carry the war burden inside NATO, building national and alliance-level military power for high-intensity conflict.
After the wars of the Yugoslav succession, in which 200,000 plus people died, we decided at that time to create a European intervention force of between 40 and 70,000 people, and nothing happened. Then the British, when they were still members, devised this concept of battle groups. And theoretically, at any one time, there are 3 countries that are on standby and delegate a battalion each to a brigade-size unit, which theoretically could be used in some kind of emergency. But they've never been used because the 3 countries would have to agree simultaneously, because they would have to pay for it, because the risks would be disproportionately falling on them.
Norway backs this blunt assessment by drawing a hard line between European political coordination and real warfighting capability. Oslo says that while Europe can deepen security cooperation, collective defense can only function through NATO. Even if Europe takes on more of the burden, Norway stresses that the command systems, technical integration, and battlefield interoperability required for war exist only inside the NATO framework.
We need to have the US and Canada with us in our security outlook, and that NATO is the relevant defense organization, that collective defense should happen through NATO. And there is a big room for rebalancing between Europe and North America, or Europe and plus Canada and the US, rather, within NATO, because NATO would, even with a different balance, NATO would still have the protocol, the technical integration, the common standards, the command structures, and so on, that you would need even if you have a more Europeanized NATO.
Poland is also warning that Europe can no longer assume unlimited American attention or resources. Warsaw says Washington is signaling that it may not have the capacity or even the will to manage multiple global crises at once. This warning underlines how exposed Europe could become if it leans on EU defense ambitions that remain untested in real war.
You know, what has to happen? Does Putin have to invade Ukraine for all of you to understand that we should not be defenseless? And I think this question is becoming more relevant at a time when our American allies are telling us frankly, we do not have either the capacity or even perhaps the will to attend to 2 crises simultaneously around the globe, and you have to take better care of yourself.
Norway confirms that this shift is already shaping military planning. Oslo says Europe must be capable of fighting at a high level before American forces can provide substantial assistance, even among allies. That thinking is driving deeper military integration inside NATO rather than reliance on EU defense mechanisms.
But I think this is really the time to think about that. And whether you call that European or transatlantic, it still has to happen in Europe. So that might be a new opportunity with a new degree of realism of Europe needing to be able to fight in a higher level of crisis before the Americans will come substantively to our assistance, even if they're allies.
Those warnings mirror what NATO's Secretary General told European lawmakers in Brussels last week. Speaking inside the European Parliament, Mark Rutte openly dismissed the idea that Europe could defend itself without American military power, mocking the notion of EU strategic autonomy as detached from battlefield reality.
So when President Trump is doing good stuff, I will praise him. And I don't mind him publishing text messages. And if anyone thinks here, again, that the European Union or Europe as a whole can defend itself without the US, keep on dreaming. You can't. We can't. We need each other.
Rutte went further, warning that Europe's defense spending targets fall far short of what would be needed to replace US power. He said true military independence would require massive increases in spending and even the construction of a European nuclear deterrent at the cost of losing the US nuclear umbrella. The message, now echoed by Poland and Norway, leaves little room for illusion. Europe may talk about defense autonomy, but when war comes, NATO will carry the burden.
But for Europe, if you really want to go it alone, and those of you who are planning for that, forget that you can ever get there with 5%. It will be 10%. You have to build up your own nuclear capability. That costs billions and billions of euros. You will lose then, in that scenario, you would lose the ultimate guarantor of our freedom, which is the US nuclear umbrella. So, hey, good luck.